What's up, YouTube? Flying Speaks back for another video. Today, listen, I just wanted to respond to Stephen A. Smith today. He appeared on First Take, his show, with Mad Dog Russo as well as Swagoo. Marcus Spears, the great Dallas Cowboy defensive tackle and analyst for ESPN. And the question came up right now because the Philadelphia Eagles took their first loss last Sunday to the New York Jets. And the Dallas Cowboys are coming off of a victory against the San Diego Chargers, which I have not commented on. There's nothing much to say. Their backs were against the wall. Justin Herbert is kind of a fraud. And the Dallas Cowboys came through and win. Now, as with these media types, what they do is they're emotional. They're also hype pump machines for the product, so I kind of get it. What they do is they go week to week. And I guess really at the end of the day, it's a strategy to make every game seem extremely important because it drives interest and it makes money. And ultimately, that's what these guys get paid to do. I'm convinced that's what's behind the majority of their opinions because some of their opinions are ridiculous like that. All right. But at any rate, what's going on is that Stephen A. Smith here has a take, and I'm going to listen in and chime in and correct and refute where necessary because I disagree with a lot of this stuff today.
Action TV, right? Okay. Coming up, Cowboys won, Eagles lost this week. Dallas is 4-2 now, and Philly is 5-1 as the NFC East is starting to take shape. Here's what Stephen A. had to say about all of it. Let's flash back to Friday.
What does it mean if Jalen Hurts doesn't answer the call? Last year, he was a league MVP candidate. This year, he has been average. The fact that Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott could be mentioned in the same category based on their performance over this early part of the season, as far as I'm concerned, evens the scales to some degree with the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, at least momentarily.
Wow. All right, well, we're talking momentarily then. Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts, I mean, if you're going to be real, have always been mentioned in a similar category. It is you who is deciding, okay, based off the fact that the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl last year and Dak Prescott threw 16 interceptions, that they're just no longer mentioned in the same category. The reality is, even going into last season, Dak Prescott was seen as the better quarterback, and the Dallas Cowboys were seen as the better team until the Philadelphia Eagles had a better season last year. Part of it started with Dak Prescott getting hurt and coming back in actually after the Week 6 game to the Philadelphia Eagles, because the Dallas Cowboys were actually winning under, they were actually 4-0 with Cooper Rush, the backup quarterback. And I believe that Jerry Jones and them wanted to see if they could beat the Philadelphia Eagles with Cooper Rush. And if they were able to do that, I don't believe Dak Prescott would have been able to start. I think they would have rode it as long as they could to see how far Cooper could take them. But that's just me.
Ow! What happened last night? Did you run into Dak and Tad Prescott at that game?
Not at all.
Not at all. Jerry, he wanted
Not at all.
ornaments.
Not at all. Not at all. I was in the suite.
Okay, that was yesterday. Swagoo, our former Cowboy, I'll start with you. Are the Cowboys as good as the Eagles?
No, they're not right now. And I know what just happened with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I understand that the Cowboys got a W against the Los Angeles Chargers, and I want to give them credit for that. I thought Dak played his best game because he turned into a playmaker as opposed to just trying to execute the offense, which he did at a very high level. But I thought he was a playmaker. I think that Dak Prescott makes Dallas competitive in mostly every game that they play in, minus any mistakes. Now, they still had a bunch of penalties in that game, and I don't think you can do that against the Philadelphia Eagles. Stephen A. has a point, and the more and more I thought about after I answered this question coming into today, Jalen Hurts is playing fine. He's not playing well. And there's a difference in the expectation that we expect from Jalen. And obviously we saw the interception against the New York Jets at the end. The first two, but the last one was very, very bad. And it just doesn't seem like this offense is in sync like we expected it to be, and especially how it was last year. I think.
All right, now just going to address this briefly here. All right, I believe Jalen Hurts' play is being a little bit overblown here. All right, the first thing we want to start off with, first of all, off rip, Philadelphia Eagles have a 5-1 record. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles, prior to losing to the New York Jets, the narrative on them was, hey, they find ways to win. It's all of a sudden when they lose a game, and especially lose a game in the fashion and manner in which they did, where Jalen Hurts, the last Eagles play is an interception, then the narrative becomes he's not playing well or he's just playing average. Prior to that game, if you look at the game against the Rams, Jalen Hurts put in a very good game, and that was a game on the road at SoFi Stadium against the Rams. Prior to that, Jalen Hurts had to win a shootout against the Commanders, who was a surprisingly decent team, and a team that is a division rival that always plays the Eagles and the Cowboys well. All right, and all of Philadelphia fans, pretty much, and anyone who watched the game would have to give Jalen Hurts the credit for both of those wins, actually. If you look at the Minnesota Vikings game, again, the Eagles mostly ran the ball there. And then the game against, who was that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, Jalen Hurts actually, that was probably the best game that the team had as far as offense and defense of the season. That in the Rams game. The truth of the matter is it's still early in the season. First game was against the New England Patriots before the wheels kind of fell off when the team was confident. That week one was probably the best New England Patriots anyone was going to face. And Bill Belichick put on a masterclass. He had a whole year to plan, or a whole offseason to plan for the Eagles offense, and he did well. The Eagles found a way to win. And the same thing happened with Brian Flores, who does similar things to Belichick, right? I think it's a little bit overblown. Now, if you look at the game, that last interception looks bad. Prior to that, both of the other interceptions were mainly due to pressure. Okay, Lane Johnson going out once his arm was hit. Right, and Swag who kind of implies to that once his arm was hit. The other one was it bounced off of the arms of the tight end, Dallas Goedert, into the arms of the defense. That last interception was the most inexcusable one, where he's off his back foot throwing the ball. Right, but because of that, now all of a sudden, he's having this really bad season. Whereas I believe, according to them, he's been progressively getting better, and actually, he was having a great game against the Jets, or a really good game against the Jets, solid game, until at some point the offense just got out of sync, and it wasn't just because of him.
Dak Prescott against the Chargers, I'm talking about the individual, makes Dallas a lot closer to Philly than we would think they are, but I still would take Philly in a head-to-head matchup against the Cowboys as of right now.
All right, let's just be real about this here, right? Dak Prescott was never really a horrible quarterback. That never happened. Where are they getting him being so horrible? It's pretty much coming off of the game against the 49ers. That's kind of like what they're doing. Nor was the Eagles totally head and shoulders above the Dallas Cowboys. Now, me being an Eagles fan, I'm always going to talk my ish, right, about us being head and shoulders above the Dallas Cowboys. But the truth of the matter is that's never really been definitively proven, right? Of course, every Eagles fan believes they're better than the Dallas Cowboys. I absolutely do. And many Dallas Cowboys fans believe that they're just as good as the Eagles, or if not better than the Eagles, right? So that's the reality of the situation. So the whole way this argument is being framed is just kind of, it's just a little disingenuous in my opinion.
Oh, you have to. And Swagoo's 100% right. That was the best I've seen Dak Prescott on the road in a long. He outplayed Herbert. We've been praising Herbert like crazy. He did not play well, and Dak did a good job. But Dallas makes it so hard on themselves. They screw up at the end of the half. They should have thrown the ball in the end zone. So many penalties, a muff punt. I mean, I know they won the game, and they did it. And Prescott played really well. Give him a lot of credit. But did you walk out of that game thinking that Dallas could win a championship? I didn't walk out of that game thinking that. Mm-hmm. And here's the Eagles situation on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You know why they lost? Sirianni totally screwed the game up. 3rd and 9. Swagoo. How are you throwing the ball when the Jets don't have any timeouts left and the ball's at the 46-yard line? 1:46 to go. Run the ball, punt, and let's see if Zach Wilson from the 10-yard line can go 60 yards and kick a field goal. Hurts had been playing badly, and he throws the ball there. Mm-hmm. So to me, the Eagles' loss is almost about a one-sequence play. And then at the end of the game, why did they let the Jets score? There's no reason to let the Jets. Did you see it?
Yes.
How do you let the Jets score there? Make the tackle, call your timeouts, let them kick the field goal, and then you're going down the field with a minute left and you got a great field goal kicker. Philly totally screwed the game up. Mm-hmm. And because they lost and Dallas was fortunate to win, I'm not ready to do what you do and make this incredible leap of faith and put Dallas in Philadelphia's class.
Right.
Last week you're killing them. You're smoking cigars. You're walking in here with a hat on. They lose to Dallas 42-10, and now you got up there as one of the best teams in the NFC, right, and they can go to the Super Bowl. Now that's ridiculous, Steve.
Well, first of all,
that's ridiculous.
And that's true. I definitely agree with Mad Dog there. Stephen A. is ridiculous, and he is. And I don't know why. I guess it's just part of the sports, the sports media machine, because his argument is irrational, as we'll see. Because I'm really going to dig in on his argument.
Well, here's why it's not ridiculous. He's fluid. He's fluid. Okay.
Yeah, which is ridiculous that it's fluid. You know, in reality, it isn't fluid. It really isn't. Teams that are good are typically the teams that have all the things that a football team needs in place: a strong offensive line, strong quarterback, strong defensive line, good philosophy, smart coaches that understand how to use time management and how to manipulate offenses, how to plan well. Like, if you have all those things in place, typically you're going to be there in the end. It's not fluid. We know, he talks this stuff about it's fluid all the time. If you were to put a gun to his head and ask him, who does he believe is going to be there at the end? It's predictable. Probably the Chiefs, right? Probably the Dolphins, Bills, or Bengals in the AFC. And then in the NFC, 49ers, Eagles, maybe Dallas, right now maybe Detroit or Seattle. It's pretty predictable. So it's not really as fluid. That's just some nonsense that he does that maybe his producers has him up to in order to hype up each game, each particular week.
Let's get that out the way first. It's fluid. That's number one. Number two, Mad Dog Russo, and put Swagoo up there because it's just the truth. It's just fluid. You keep missing that point. That's a very important element. It's fluid, okay? But number two, and more importantly, Doggy, I mean, this is one of the worst arguments you've ever made in your history on First Take. And I'm going to tell you why. Because what you did is make my argument for me without me opening my mouth. You talked about Hurts being bad, and you talked about the coach being bad. Well, wouldn't that be two reasons why the Dallas Cowboys got a shot? I'd say so. I mean...
All right. No, that's dumb, because Dallas Cowboys having a shot has nothing to do with what the Eagles may or may have done in one particular game. It's an analyzation of the overall team performance. Most people who believe the Philadelphia Eagles are above the Dallas Cowboys believe so, not so much because of the individual talent on the players, of the players on each team, because that's relatively close. What it is the Philadelphia Eagles have demonstrated an ability to week after week consistently put together good games and win games. Philadelphia Eagles rarely fall victim to trap games, beat themselves with ridiculous penalties, turnovers, and all of those types of things. Whereas the Dallas Cowboys will, go out there, beat the New York Giants week 1, go destroy the New York Jets week 2, even though I think that one was overrated because they were the ones that caught the Jets on the road after the Jets had beat Buffalo. I believe it was a trap game for the Jets, but that's another story. But then the Dallas Cowboys will do that, and then they'll turn around and lose to a Cardinals team. Philadelphia Eagles typically don't do that. right? So that's really the reason. So overall, you're not going to put them in that class just because the Eagles lost their first game of the season, whereas Dallas already lost 2 games.
And if the coach don't know what the hell he's doing and he loses a game for you, and if the quarterback is struggling, by the way, 3 and 7 in 10 starts when being pressured more than 40% of the time.
That's a good stat.
25 and 5 when he's pressured less than 40% of the time.
Good stat.
What is one of the things that the Dallas Cowboys do?
All right, now let me pick apart this stupidity, this little stat. Let's rewind.
Game for you, and if the quarterback is struggling, by the way, 3 and 7 in.
Now, first of all, this is stupid, right? But first of all, where Mad Dog messed up in is he said that that the Eagles should have ran the clock out on 3rd and 9, which I partly agree with. But he said Hurts was struggling. Jalen Hurts, if you look at that game, he was not playing a bad game. Now, the Eagles were struggling to score in the red zone, which is another problem. But as far as moving the ball up and down the field, Jalen Hurts had passed for almost 300 yards, and his completion percentage was actually good. One would argue that he made a great play, pass to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith missed 2 easy passes that are uncharacteristic of him. 2 easy, he dropped 2. Running back dropped 1. Dallas Goedert. Like, so there's reasons here. But the point is, Jalen Hurts, he wasn't having as much of a problem moving the ball on that defense as they would like you to think. The reality is the Eagles aren't as good as they need to be in the red zone, which is something they're going to have to work on. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, Stephen A. Smith just said that that Jalen Hurts, when he's pressured over 45% of the time in a game, that he's 10 and 7. He's 10 and 7. Right, hold on. Let me.
10 starts when being pressured more than 40% of the time.
That's a good stat.
25 and 5 when he's pressured. I mean, if the coach don't know what the hell he's doing and he loses a game for you, and if the quarterback is struggling, by the way, 3 and 7 in 10 starts when being pressured more than 40% of the time.
That's a good.
All right, let's break this down here. He said he's 3 and 7 when he's pressured more than 45% of the time. Okay. All right, listen. Jalen Hurts lost 1 game this season. He brings up 7 losses, right? Like, it's so impressive. Jalen Hurts lost 1 game this season. He lost 1 game last season. That's 2 games in the last 2 years. So to bring up he lost 7 games, one would have to go all the way back to 2022 or possibly 2021. I don't know exactly what games he's talking about. But he lost 1 game this season, lost 1 game last season. So to think that that's a relevant stat is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right, because you have to go back to years where Jalen Hurts was a first or second year starter with a rookie Devontae Smith. Okay, games where Dallas Goedert was hurt most of the time. No AJ Brown. Okay, so that Eagles team doesn't exist. That Eagles team he's bringing up no longer exists. So that's a stupid stat. It's not a good stat. It's very stupid. All right. So and what I'm disappointed in Mad Dog is he isn't detecting that. That's very easy to refute in the midst of an argument.
25 and 5 when he's pressured less than 40% of the
Good
time.
stat.
What is one of the things that the Dallas Cowboys do on a very elite level? Pressure the damn quarterback.
Yeah, but what the Eagles also do is they block the Dallas Cowboys very, very well. Right? Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons has no sacks against Jalen Hurts. Nor does DeMarcus Lawrence. Okay, so that's stupid because I don't care about what Dallas Cowboys, no one should care about what Dallas Cowboys do as far as pressuring other teams. What matters is how well they pressure the Eagles and are the Eagles good at protecting against the Dallas Cowboys. And of course they are.
So if pressuring the quarterback is their specialty and being pressured is an Achilles heel for this quarterback this particular season, more so than it was last season because he had his offensive coordinator who's now a head coach.
Well, that's not even true because if you're saying he lost 7 games, then it wouldn't be a problem this year because he only lost 1 game this year. Oh my God, this is too easy.
The bottom line is that would serve as an impediment to the success that the Eagles are hoping to achieve. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, where you're coming from makes absolutely no sense. It's not based on anything that's happening right now, not based on anything that's relevant to this particular Eagles team. You know what I mean? Now, pressure, I mean, I'm sure I could pull up pressure for any quarterback. Every quarterback has problems with pressure. That's not something that's unique to Jalen Hurts. That's something Dak Prescott has problems with. That's something every freaking quarterback has problems with pressure. Tom Brady, the way Tom Brady was beat in the last the two Super Bowls against the New York Giants was pressure. So it's a very mute point that it doesn't take a genius to pull up. It's just stupid. And it's the job of the offense to make sure that they prepare for blitzes and all of that kind of stuff. But the point is, like, it must not be that much of a problem because this guy doesn't lose enough to where it is an issue.
I didn't sit up there and say you can look at Javon Carter and you can look at Fletcher Cox and you can look at Graham and you can look at Hassan Reddick and those boys and it don't matter. I didn't say that. I didn't sit up there and say that the Eagles' number 2 rushing attack don't matter, that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith don't matter, that Dallas Goedert doesn't matter, that the health of Lane Johnson doesn't matter. What I said was, you got a quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who I love dearly and I believe in. That's my bro. You know that. But the bottom line is he ain't getting it done right now to the degree that we saw him get it done last season.
All right, so that ain't take Jalen Carter with this and that. All right, so either you're saying that they can beat Dallas or not, whatever. Besides that, right? What do you mean not getting what done? He loses one game and all of a sudden he's just not getting it done. Getting what done? To the degree of last season. Well, I guess last season he started off the season 8-0, so I guess he didn't go 8-0. Like, what are you talking about?
Because he has been allergic to productivity when you got a pass rush coming his way. And the Dallas Cowboys, if nothing else.
That's nonsense. But I don't think I got to keep stopping. I think you guys get it.
Can get to the quarterback. And Sirianni, he's got to step up and he's got to show up as well because he's got neither coordinator that he had in the Super Bowl last year. That, to me, would make sense as to why the Dallas Cowboys are sitting there chirping at the heels of the Philadelphia Eagles. You can't run away with it because of those things that I highlighted. I didn't highlight them. You did. Am I lying?
San Francisco beat them 42-10. You're walking in there having a party. Now they beat the Chargers and they're the best team in the NFC.
I didn't say they
That's a ridiculous report.
No, I did not say they were the best team. What I said was they can't run away from the Cowboys. Don't change the narrative. I know you like to do that on Mad Dog Radio, but not on First Take, baby. We don't do that here. You're going to stick with the narrative. The fact of the matter is the question was about the Cowboys.
Whoever said they needed to run away from the Cowboys, it's way too early to tell. Right, just because they lost their first game, Dallas already lost 2 games. Like, I don't know. You can't predict whether or not Dallas is going to go on a winning streak. Both teams have a very difficult schedule coming up, a gauntlet for both of them. Who knows what's going to happen? You know, that's ridiculous. You can't run away from the Dallas Cowboys. Did you expect them to just run away from the Dallas Cowboys? Yeah, most people, I mean, if you're judging based off last year the division wasn't decided until past Christmas. You know, Dallas wasn't losing a whole lot of games last year, and I don't expect them to lose a lot this year. You know, like I know I talk my issue on the channel, and I say Dallas ain't gonna make the playoffs. You know, but being realistic, I mean, I'm not surprised if Dallas and the Eagles are close record-wise until the end.
On the same level as the Eagles. I didn't say they were the best team in the league. I don't find the Eagles to be the best team in the league. If you saw my A-list yesterday, I had the Eagles at 5. I didn't have them at 1. So the point that I'm trying to make to you is that they're not the best team. That is not the subject. Don't change the question. Oh, I do have the Eagles. I had the Eagles at 5. Don't act like you didn't know because you watched first.
And Stephen A., to me, lost that debate because he just loud and said a bunch of nonsense and giving up a bunch of stats that are, like, not relevant. It's ridiculous.
But cocktail before that, how does
Do you really feel like any NFC team?
It's still Philly and San Francisco.
You feel that way?
Yes.
Still? Even with all the injuries San Francisco is dealing with?
Yes.
Debo's hurt.
They
McCaffrey's hurt.
the kid missed a 41-yard field goal. He's got to make that kick to be 6-0.
That's not the question. The question is, outside of the fact that how good you and I look today, outside of that, the question, Swagoo, was this. My argument was pretty smooth, wasn't it? It was pretty smooth.
Nope, not at all. But that's all I got right there. We're going to make this too ridiculously long and already longer than I intended. All right, so I'm out. Peace.